Howdy. Welcome to Adventures with Joey and Johnny. Today we're at Johnny's place and we're going to be making a brisket on his Traeger. One of the things we talked about in our previous video was kind of cooking for like a COVID size of people. Like one of the things that I really like about barbecue is I like to eat it fresh. I don't mind letting it rest, but once it's rested, like I want to eat my portion then. I don't mind having some leftovers, but I'm not like, I want to cook a 15 or 16 pound brisket and then have that for like 2 weeks. Like that's just, as an individual, that's just not gonna, I don't know, I'm just not gonna eat that much. I guess I could freeze it or I just want it fresh. So I started talking to Johnny about it. And so kind of what we want to do today is like, we want to make this brisket that's smaller, and we want to make these small beef ribs. And so we're gonna cook at 275, and we're gonna go for like 5 to 7 hours. We'll see how it goes. We'll probably wrap around 3 hours in. And we're gonna be using our standard mix here, which is gonna be half pepper, half salt, a little bit of garlic powder, onion powder, and paprika. And then we'll bind it with some olive oil. So let me show you the meats we got. Like I said, I just went and got a small, there we go, small package of a pre-cut or pre-trimmed point. So we'll put this side towards the heat, and we'll get this thing going. Let me open it up and I'll kind of show you. Since it's already pre-cut, you know, buying a pre-trimmed brisket's always really nice because you just get going right away. There's not really, see how it's already, like, oh, it has just enough fat, like just enough to keep it going. You can see it's already been pretty trimmed. I mean, there's this little piece right here. If we were competitors or something, we might do something with that, but I'm not too worried about it. Just, you know, just a little bit right here, and I'll spread it out. That's why I have the gloves on. It works really nice. That's good. If you haven't used nitrile gloves, I think that's how you pronounce it, before, when you're working with barbecue, it's just really, you know, working with meats, it's really nice. It makes it real convenient to be able to just pop them on and off. So I'm just gonna grab this little edge here, and since I know we're gonna be using most of this, I don't mind using the gloves. So you just come over here, and on a brisket, since it's gonna cook for so long, you can be pretty liberal with your seasoning, from at least my experience and what I've seen other people experience online. Again, you know, the way Johnny and I are learning to do barbecue is by recording it and by doing it, and then also just watching other people. Like we have a couple of different channels that we've been watching. Malcolm Reed on how to barbecue right. We've watched Franklin, and just some other channels here and there, and that's how we're learning it. It's not like we had some like barbecue guru. Now, I haven't told Johnny this, but there is actually a barbecue university at Texas A&M. And he's behind the camera. I don't know if you have a response to that or not.
I've seen it,
okay,
but I haven't investigated it further.
Yeah. Now, Johnny is going to be teaching at A&M this semester, and so am I, but he's going to be teaching in person. And one of the things that was really interesting to us when we went to his classroom was that it was actually in the ag building. And so it's like cowhide chairs, and they have a really cool barbed wire display that shows you like all the different barbed wire. I don't know. I thought it was really, really interesting. And then they also have this was also really interesting. They had a wall of the Texas counties, and then like different brands, like not like literally, you know, branding of cattle, different brands for each county. And I thought that was really interesting. It was cool to, you know, we're originally from San Antonio. It's my kid in the background making some noise. And they had Bexar County there. So we've got this pretty well seasoned. I mean, you can see this is gonna have, oh, gotta get that little point there. Look at that. Okay, now look at that. We just turned it around. So yeah, you know, we've got it in the crevices. I worked it all in. Probably work a little bit more right here. Let me just, there we go. Oh yeah, that's much better. It's kind of weird. Just a little bit makes a big difference. And then, in addition to this, I got just a little packet. I mean, look at this. This is, I'll count them out. It looks like 3 or 4 ribs at most. And I thought this would be a really cool little experiment. You know, we're using the Traeger Tailgater. And so it's just a small, you know, kind of personal size barbecue pit. And Johnny and I were talking about beef ribs, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, this is 3. We got three bones right here. And we were talking about barbecuing some beef ribs, and I was like, at the store, why not? Like, let's try it. So as you can see, it just gives me a little bit of olive oil. And what I'll do is I just kind of get it and I just start working in the seasoning. We had some on here. This is both beef products, so I'm not too worried about mixing it up on the same piece. Now, I have never cooked beef ribs before, so we'll see how this seasoning comes out in terms of how much I just put on. And we'll have an opinion, I'm sure, when we go to eat it. But I think, I'm trying to not go as liberal with it as on the brisket, but still have a good amount on there. There you go. All right, so again, just trying to put a nice even bark on it. Johnny's freaking out. He's like, you want to say anything?
Man,
about
that looks yeah. It was, I was visibly salivating, I think.
Yeah, the cameraman's over here. So I looked over at him and I was like, wow, Johnny, I think you're getting a little hungry there, man.
I wasn't hungry until I smelled all this.
Don't eat this raw. We got to get this cooked. Since we're really focusing on the brisket today, I'm gonna put the ribs kind of further back, and we'll let that thing go as is. But the brisket is what I'm more wanting to kind of just place in a good spot. So we preheated at 200. We're gonna take this up to 275. The plan is to cook at 275 for 3 hours and then wrap it, or wrap both of them. And then what we'll do is, once we've wrapped it, we'll turn it up to about either 300 or 325. We'll probe it and just see where the temps are at. And if it's hot enough, we won't worry about putting it up to 325. If it's not, we'll increase the heat a little bit. Again, like, we're just backyard barbecuing, so this isn't competition. This isn't anything other than us just working away on this for fun. So I'm gonna go ahead and close it, and we'll go ahead and set this to 275. There we go. So that's where we're at, 275. All right, so we are an hour and a half in, and we're gonna check it, we're gonna spritz it, and our next check-in will be at around, I'll probably do 2.5 hours, so 1 hour from here, just because I want to probe it and see where it's at, and kind of come up with a plan when we wrap it at 3 hours in. So let's see how this goes. Let's see what it's looking like. Oh yeah, that is coming along nicely. Those ribs are also coming along nicely. For an hour and a half, this is exactly where I thought we should be. So let me scoot back and spritz a little. I'm a pretty liberal spritzer. Some people aren't. So this is just water and apple juice. So let me. I'm also going to spritz the ribs. There we go. hear that nice little sizzling. You can see that little bone starting to pull back. So this should be a good run. So we'll be checking back. All right, so we are now around 3 hours in. We spritzed it an hour and a half in. What I want to do is I want to go ahead and wrap them, and then we'll up the heat a little bit. We're trying to do like a 5-hour cook with an hour rest. So we're at 275 right now. I'm going to take it up to about 300, maybe 325. We'll see. I'm going to probe it. We've got our Traeger probe right here. I'll probe the brisket and the ribs. I'm just gonna keep an eye on. So let's see what this is looking like. Oh, look at that!
Man, that looks good.
That's looking like how it should. Look at those ribs. Oh man, this brisket's looking good too. So we're gonna go ahead and just pull that up. All right, it's got a nice bark on it. I'm gonna go ahead and spritz it. Go ahead and put the probe in on the heavy side. So we're going to go ahead and put these ribs right here. Now it's looking like these are going to cook pretty quick. So aluminum is the Texas crutch. I think our coming of age moment will be when we switch from aluminum to using butcher paper, and that will be coming up sooner than later. So we just want to get some of these things under our proverbial belts first. So we'll close this up. And like I stated earlier, we'll set this back. We're gonna go up to, we'll start with 300 and see where that takes us. We're at 165. That's a good, yeah, this is gonna work at 5. This will work at 5 hours. It should. I mean, it's past the stall, which the stall is normally 155 to 165 degrees. So, yeah, an hour. We'll check it again, and then just the temps. But yeah, around 5, it should be good. Let's see what happens. I'm excited. That looks good. You saw me kind of light up. I'm like, wow, I can talk some noise, but I guess this is evidently working. So this is really cool. I mean, we're cooking on this really small pit. The Ranger, right? Tailgater, sorry. I keep mixing it up. The Traeger Tailgater. This is just a small, awesome little pit for doing some, what I call personal barbecuing. Like, we're not cooking for a big group. Now, I will note, we have an Adventures with Joey and Johnny coming up that is going to be on the other side of this spectrum. And we can't wait to do it. We're not sure how long it'll take. It may be some episodes away, but hopefully within the next month or two, we're going to be cooking on a pretty big setup and meeting with the owner of the setup and kind of going over some barbecuing techniques with it. And then also, we'll probably try some kind of different cuts of meat just because we're there and we can do it. So I hope you're enjoying this, and we'll check back in when this is another hour or two. Our probe is at 185, which is actually even better for what we're trying to accomplish. That means that we are past the stall like I thought, and it also means that we're really within that 5-hour cook time. And so what we've done now is, actually let me come over here. We have set 2:05 cut time alarm. So this is actually pretty slick. I think this is gonna be really interesting to kind of see where we end up when we hit 2:05. So wish us luck. All right, so we have hit our 2:05. We are going to go ahead and pull the brisket and the ribs out and put them into the Yeti to cool down for a good hour. And then, woo! It's a little hot there. Pull the probe out. There we go. I'll just kind of hook the probe over here. So, get out the brisket. And again, we've got the mini. It's okay, Johnny. It'll be fine. Got the mini Yeti here. That's why we put a little piece of aluminum down. And actually, what we'll do is our mini. Since that one was dripping just a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and make sure we wrap up the edges here. Which I already had an edge, but ooh, that's some extra.
There you go.
And then this one shouldn't have a leak. That's from the probe. That's why it was leaking out. So
This one should be fine.
Should be fine. We'll go ahead and just put it in here. All right, so we brought the brisket and the ribs in. We have the ribs right here. We let them sit for an hour in the Yeti. And now we're gonna open up these ribs and see where we're at. Look at that, they're still steaming. I figured that's what a Yeti would do. And you can see it definitely stayed moist. I'm gonna actually put this up and you can get a little shot of that, John.
Oh man.
All right, so here we go. We'll go ahead and, oh, look at that. We'll go ahead and cut this and you can see it just literally just cuts through. I'm gonna
Oh man.
put this down. Look at that.
Man, look at that.
That looks good. Trusting you. We made some beef ribs just to see how they come out. All right, so we just cut the ribs. They looked amazing. We're gonna open up this brisket. Like I said earlier in the earlier videos, we let it sit for an hour. So the ribs were still piping hot. So I'm assuming this is also gonna have a little bit, oh yeah, still has a little bit of heat to it. But you can see.
Look at that heat. That's definitely some heat there though.
Yeah, you can see this thing is ready to be cut. Whew. Normally I would use.
With a spatula or?
No.
You can get it?
Actually, I just don't want to mess up the bark. That's all. And I didn't. So that's. All right. So now we're gonna go ahead and cut some of the brisket. So see if I can remember how to cut a brisket properly. It's been over a week. So, woo. Now, this is cutting pretty easy. Really smooth. You can see the fat.
There's a ring.
Yeah, and the fat's pretty broken down. I think it's decent. Let's see. Oh yeah, the fat's definitely broken down on this one. Let me cut another piece. You can see we're on the two-sided piece, so you have the fat here and then the fat line on the bottom. Go ahead and cut one more piece. And that's looking pretty good. I think we probably could have gone a little longer with a little less heat. You can see that since this is going to be the fattier side, we do have a little bit less breakdown than I'd ideally want, but It's not bad. Let's go ahead and cut a little bit of, I believe this is like a quasi burnt inside, if I remember correctly. And you can see, yeah, that looks
pretty good.
Yeah, that looks real good, and it feels good. So we'll go ahead and cut this side up a little. Oh yeah, that looks great. Now we just need to get a proper set of knives for Johnny. And,
Supplied by Amazon.
supplied by something, man. We need to get sponsored. And we'll go from there. So I'll go ahead. I'm gonna
try a
this little piece on the end. You see that? I just want to try that. Yeah, that's good. It's broken down enough. It could use a little bit longer. I think we a little less heat. The Traeger's so efficient. I have been cooking at 275 on stick burners, and I was just shocked at how the ramp rate of the Traeger works. I don't know, kind of changing the game in terms of how I think of cooking. So, anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed this one. We've got, like we said earlier, we've got some things in the fire, no pun intended. And this brisket came out great. The ribs came out great. So we're gonna eat now. So we'll see you guys later. We literally didn't eat all day,
See y'all later.
so we could eat this. It's gonna be fun. Y'all take it easy.